work is the foundation to manifesting your desires. So inner work is a process of deconstruction. It is a process of self-discovery, of self-exploration and understanding. Inner work is going within inside of yourself to understand certain behaviors, attitudes, to understand your needs and wants. There's also the process of discovering limiting beliefs that you may have adopted in childhood or perhaps from an early traumatic event, and working through those emotions in that belief system. A lot of people want to manifest their desires. A lot of people want to live a good quality life. It is my firm belief that we are all deserving of that. However, we hold ourselves back so much because we have a random family member in our head who laughed at us, or who mocked us, who humiliated us, or we had a really traumatic event that occurred, an invasion of privacy, emotional neglect, physical abuse, psychological abuse. And so we hold ourselves back because these beliefs that we've adopted due to these events in our lives pretty much set the tone, set our mental framework up to where we believe that we are not worthy and deserving of our desires. This work will require you to go back into those moments and reframe, first process the emotions around that, process the grief, process the disappointment, process the feelings of unsafety. And it can be painful at times. However, it's such transformative work, and that's what all this is about. If you do not possess the ability to understand the value of something good, understand the value of your desire, you don't have the emotional reference point of why it's a beautiful thing, you could be like someone who wins the lottery. The curse of the lottery. These people, they come into large amounts of money, yet they lack the ability to retain it because they do not have the framework to maintain it and to keep it. Sometimes they go further, even further into debt because they are very impulsive. They're not clear, right? And it's pretty much the same thing. It's like, how could you really manifest anything that you want if you do not have the emotional capacity to be receptive to your desire? You may want a thing, you may see it as a beautiful thing that you desire, but do you think that you're truly deserving and worthy of it? And then even furthermore, do you really even want the thing that you think you desire, or are you borrowing and stealing from other people's ideas of what success is and what makes sense to them, and you won't do the work of discovering that for yourself? This is not a quick fix solution. This process is done in layers. For some it will be easy, for others it will be hard, and it is a form of performing like surgery on yourself, of being a scientist and taking apart certain things to understand how it works. And that's what you're going to be doing to yourself as an observer. If you're someone who's never done any type of work like this, I always recommend going to see a therapist first, because it's easier to have someone guide you on this process and be a witness, especially to processing certain emotional pain that can be overwhelming. I think that therapy is really good for that. Even getting to the point where you first feel comfortable to talk and share with someone as a safe space. And then second, at a certain point, I do believe doing personal development work, getting out a pen and paper or pencil and paper, and getting to the core root of why you believe certain things to be a certain way, and how that affects you, and how you're no longer going to allow it to affect you. Whether you want to do reframes, seeing a negative situation in a new light as a lesson, because that's essentially what it all is. Even if it was very traumatic, there's a lesson in there. It's not for nothing. And so, again, like I said, it is done in layers. So this is not something that can be sped up. This is something that has to be intentional. It has to be treated with respect if you hope to gain any type of true, expansion and growth, because that's essentially what we're here to do. It's my firm belief that we're here to grow and expand and evolve. Because if we're not doing that, we're remaining stagnant and we're essentially just kind of flatlining through life. We're going on autopilot and we're not achieving anything. And that's why you're listening to this video, because you want to manifest your desires, and you probably don't know how, but for me, I personally believe it starts with inner work and understanding yourself and building a container, a containment of emotional understanding, of knowing that you are worthy of your desires, of knowing that you are deserving of your desires, and knowing that no one else out there gets to determine that for you. You do that. This work is important because we want to understand certain moods and behaviors and coping mechanisms that we currently have that are standing in the way of us changing our patterns, changing our behaviors. It's a process of taking inventory and saying, hey, I've been doing all of these things that are a form of self-sabotage that actually go against the thing that I want. And how do I take that and change it? Well, first you have to commit to this lifestyle, to this work. You can't show up half-assed and expect things to show up in your life if you're not doing the work. Sorry, it just doesn't work that way. So once we get to the core of certain painful beliefs and truths that we have adopted, we're giving ourselves the opportunity to build a new framework off of understanding and integrating, okay, now this is why this happened. I either release and let that person go, the situation no longer has hold over me, and even then it still may come up. And that's why it is a process done in layers, because as we go throughout life, we're going to be faced with certain challenges that no matter how positive, optimistic, life is life, and it is something that is very complex. And I definitely believe your attitude and mood will control majority of how you see life or how you respond to it. But there are certain things that none of us are above. And so we have to do this work when we're faced with tough moments, right? And so let's say if you want abundance and prosperity in your life, this is also the kind of work that you want to do, because depending on how you saw finances in your upbringing, depending on how your parents handled certain things, if there was a narrative about it, if you're taught about it or not, you take on the things in your environment as your own personal belief. And so if you don't get outside of it, if you don't receive teachings that are counterintuitive to what you're currently learning in your immediate environment, or you were learning in your immediate environment, that is a belief that you personally adopt, because you don't have any opposing evidence. But you now, as an adult, you have a lot of opposing evidence. You couldn't help your upbringing, but now as an adult, you have the choice to decide how you want to show up. And that is what this work is about. And that's how we begin the foundational work to be a reciprocal to what we want, to what we desire. Thank you for taking the time out today to listen to this message. I hope you have found value in it. Please comment, like, subscribe below, and stay tuned for more videos. Have a blessed day.